Once upon a time, there was a man renowned across the land as the magician of locks. His extraordinary talent allowed him to open any lock, regardless of its age, rust, or complexity. The older and more abandoned the lock, the more fascinated people became with his ability to effortlessly unlock it. With every challenge, his reputation grew. People marveled at how quickly he could unlock even the most difficult mechanisms. And he was often invited to showcase his skills at exhibitions, on TV shows, and in front of large audiences. The magician's fame spread far and wide, and as his reputation grew, so did his confidence. He truly believed that no lock could ever best him. He became so certain of his abilities that he began to feel invincible. Every lock, no matter how complex, was merely a puzzle to be solved. It was his art, his craft, and his domain. The magician felt untouchable. One day, a wealthy businessman approached him with a unique proposition. There was a grand competition taking place in the city, and the businessman had an offer that piqued the magician's interest. "I want you to enter this contest," the businessman said. "The prize is 10 lakh rupees, and if you succeed, your fame will grow even greater." The magician was immediately intrigued. He loved challenges, and the idea of a prize that large was enticing. Without hesitation, he accepted the invitation. The competition would not only prove his skill, but also solidify his place as the greatest lock magician in the world. The day of the competition arrived and the atmosphere was electric. A large swimming pool was set up as the stage, and in the center of the pool was a large sealed metal box. The crowd gathered around the pool, excited to see the magician perform his next feat. Spectators lined the edges, some with their phones ready to record the event, while others eagerly whispered among themselves. The magician walked confidently to the poolside, and as soon as he appeared, the crowd erupted in applause. He waved to the crowd, smiling, his confidence at an all-time high. The event organizer approached him with the details of the challenge. "You will enter this box, and we will submerge it in the pool. Your task is to unlock the box and swim out before you run out of air. If you need help, there is a panic button that will pull you out immediately." The magician laughed, brushing off any concern. "That's easy," he said with a grin. "I've unlocked locks underwater before. This will be over in seconds." The crowd clapped and cheered, further fueling his confidence. Without hesitation, the magician climbed into the box. The air inside was cold and damp, but he wasn't afraid. He had unlocked thousands of locks, underwater and in all conditions. This was just another challenge, and he knew he would succeed. He gave the thumbs-up signal, and the box was slowly lowered into the water. As it sank deeper, silence fell over the crowd. All eyes were fixed on the magician inside the box. At first, the magician worked with his usual ease, focusing on the lock. But something was off. The lock wouldn't budge. He applied every technique he had learned over the years, tried every tool in his kit, but nothing worked. The lock remained shut. His hands trembled and sweat formed on his forehead, despite the cold water surrounding him. This was strange. Why wasn't it working? He tried again, but with every attempt, the situation grew worse. Panic began to creep in. What was happening? Why couldn't he open the lock? His mind began to race with doubt and fear. The seconds ticked by, and the pressure of the water above him felt heavier. His chest tightened. What if he failed? What if he couldn't get out in time? The crowd was watching. The whole world was watching. What would they think of him? The thought of failing in front of such a large audience was almost unbearable. The magician tried to focus, but the harder he worked, the more his thoughts spiraled out of control. His hands were no longer steady. His mind, once sharp and clear, was now clouded with fear. The more he thought about it, the more the situation seemed impossible. He couldn't breathe properly. The air in the box was running out, and the pressure was building. His body was telling him to stay calm, to trust his instincts, but his mind was drowning in anxiety. The panic button seemed like a distant hope, but the magician couldn't bring himself to press it. What would it mean to quit? To admit failure? He had never failed before, and the thought of doing so was unbearable. Yet, as his air supply dwindled, he realized the situation was more serious than he had imagined. The lock wasn't the problem anymore, it was his mind. In a moment of clarity, he understood. The lock wasn't the true obstacle. It was his overthinking that was sabotaging him. If he didn't stop overthinking, he would not only fail at the lock, but at the challenge itself. It wasn't the lock that was keeping him inside the box, it was his own fear and doubt. With shaking hands, the magician finally pressed the panic button. Within moments, the crew above acted quickly, pulling the box out of the water. The lid opened, and he gasped for air. His face was pale, his body trembling, but his mind was clearer than it had been in the past few minutes. As he sat up in the box, he was met with a murmur of disbelief from the crowd. His confidence had shattered. He had failed. But as he sat there, staring at the lock, something incredible happened. The lock was already open. It had been a trick. The lock wasn't real. The organizer approached him with a knowing smile. "It wasn't about the lock," he said gently. "It was about your mind. You let your overthinking become your true obstacle." The magician was speechless. He looked around at the crowd, not with shame, but with a deep sense of gratitude. "Today I've learned the greatest lesson of my life," he said, his voice trembling. "Overthinking can make even the simplest tasks seem impossible. Sometimes we just need to trust ourselves and take action without fear." The crowd fell silent, reflecting on the truth of his words. The magician had learned that the greatest battles are often fought in the mind. Overthinking magnifies small problems, creates imaginary fears, and holds us back from achieving our goals. Whether it's a dream, a challenge, or a relationship, we must trust ourselves and act without hesitation. In that moment, the magician knew that he would never again let fear or doubt control him. He had learned that simplicity in thought leads to clarity in action, and that sometimes the lock we're struggling to open may not even be locked. It's just our minds holding us back.